program, by the way. So I was down in West Virginia over the weekend. We flew down on Friday morning and came back Sunday night. And I did not see any fireworks. I was in a holler. And up on the mountainside, there were 7 young people who were spending 4 days all alone in the woods, no food, no water, doing a vision quest. And down below in the holler, there were about 60 or 70 people who were doing sweat ceremonies morning and night and singing up to the people in the mountains and periodically going up and checking and make sure they were okay. And it was pretty cool. And we were staying with some dear friends of ours who lived nearby and who were helping support this effort. And then we drove around West Virginia. I think I've been through West Virginia like years ago, but I had no real clear memory of it other than just, a highway with lots of trees. I think I drove through North Carolina coming up from Atlanta once when we lived in Atlanta for like 15 years, or 13 years. But in any case, we also had an opportunity on Saturday afternoon, I think it was. We went into Lewisburg and we met with a bunch of local activists who were doing some really cool community stuff. And one of them is a lawyer who has, in fact, a book has been written about him. He's doing some really, really great work suing the coal companies. He's a friend of Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s and whatnot. And what I got, number one, the environmentalists there are like, let's just stop the mining, keep the coal in the ground. I understand that. I'm with you. But to take it a step further, a step beyond that, I'm looking at Alaska. I'm driving around we were driving around in West Virginia, and you see these very wealthy areas where people have, sold their land to the coal companies, or they're involved in the lumber business, which are basically, the extractive industries are basically it. Or they came in from out of town with a lot of money and built a nice house. And then there's everybody else. And there's this, there's kind of a middle class, but there's a lot of people just hanging on by their fingernails. An enormous amount of poverty in West Virginia. West Virginia has not raised their minimum wage. They're the poorest fifth of their income of their population over the last decade or two has gone down in wealth and income. And so I'm looking at this thinking, Thomas Paine suggested back in the day, back in the 1890s, in a pamphlet or a booklet, which is still in print, called Agrarian Justice. Thomas Paine suggested that when a person is born in the United States, the government should put a certain amount of money into basically an annuity, a fund for them, which would gain interest over time. So that by the time they became 21, or adult age, I don't know what it was back in the 1870s or 1780s, 1790s. It might have been 16 or 18 or whatever. But by the time they reached that age of majority, they have available to them a regular income for the rest of their lives as a consequence of this fund and the profit from it, the interest from it. So it's kind of a guaranteed minimum income for every American. Alaska does this. Sarah Palin has, I think, 7 people in her family, if I'm correct, 5 kids and her husband and her. That's 7. And the average amount, back in the 70s, they created this thing called the Alaska Permanent Fund. They said, okay, the oil companies are coming in, they're taking all this oil out of our state. We own some of this oil. And even the oil that we don't own, the Alaskans figured this out early on. Back in West Virginia, some of these coal claims go back to the 19th century. where, the New York banks came in and said, we'll buy the minerals under your land. You can still be a farmer here. You'll never even know that we're here. No problem. We're going to mine way deep underground underneath you. And here's some money. Okay, fine. Here you go. And then pretty soon, they're being pushed off their land. But the Alaskans said, we're going to take this money, we're going to put it into a giant pot called the Alaska Permanent Fund, which now has billions of dollars in it. And every year, we're going to take all the interest from the Alaska Permanent Fund and give it back to the people. So everybody in Alaska gets a minimum income of, whatever the permanent fund pays out that year, and typically it's around $2,000 a year. So Sarah Palin, when she was governor, was writing her own family a check for $14,000 a year, and everybody else in Alaska. And so I'm looking at West Virginia thinking, why don't they do that here? The state could do this. You do it as a carbon tax. Real simple. Or a coal tax. You say, from now on, we're going to charge X, $10 a ton, $50 a ton, whatever. I don't know the economics of coal. Enough that it's consequential and it builds a large amount of money for the state, but not so much that it shuts down the coal industry. Now, I realize there are people who are saying, let's shut down the coal industry altogether, and I'm all in favor of that. And I think that as a 10 or 20-year strategy, that's a very, very smart strategy. And in the meantime, start putting, tax incentives and all kinds of, subsidies and bonuses and things for people moving from electricity and oil and coal to heat their homes and their businesses and generate electricity to moving to solar panels and wind, because there's plenty of wind up on the ridge lines all across West Virginia, and there's plenty of solar down in the valleys, at least in the valleys that have south-facing sides. And so, why not create a West Virginia permanent fund? Everybody has a guaranteed minimum income. It simplifies dramatically your anti-poverty programs because you have fewer people in poverty. In fact, why don't we do this all across the United States? In any state that has an extractive industry, which is pretty much every state these days because of fracking. Say, some of that stuff you're taking out of the ground belongs to we, the people of this state. Not just the individual family who held the mineral rights for the land underneath them. Now, I realize this is kind of an Hugo Chavez solution, and a lot of people get very upset about it, but I think it's a start. And it would raise the price of coal to the point where alternatives to coal would start becoming inexpensive. And hopefully Pennsylvania and Ohio and Tennessee and, the other states in quote, coal country, around West Virginia would all start doing the same thing. So it wouldn't disadvantage one state against the others. In fact, maybe they could do it regionally the way that up in northern New England, they're doing this regional CO2 pact, where when you get 5 contiguous states that all say we're going to put a cap on CO2 emissions, this is what it's going to be. This could be a really cool thing.